Hey, my name is Mortimer. I'm a singer-songwriter born in Kingston, Jamaica scene. Yeah, lots of love to all.
There's a lesson in the struggle. This one's just swinging by, had to take my time. So many times I've stumbled, yeah.
The thought process for the name behind the album, I wanted it to be as true as possible, you know. That matters to me the most, you know what I mean? It's just one big washing machine of ideas at first, you know, until we narrowed down to from within, you know. Clear also felt like it felt most true to me, and you know, just the things I stand for overall. So that's how we arrived at from within. You know, it's everything that's it's all my heart's utterings. You know what I mean? Now on record, you know, from within to outside, and then into people's hearts after that.
Your vibe is like a gentle breeze. You make me feel all kinds of things. The things I like about you most.
When I wrote slowly, it was kind of referring to my sexy time with my wife, you know what I mean, and my love for sexy time overall too, you know, but it was specifically talking about my wife, you know what I mean, and all the good times we've shared in bed and on the floor and in the bathroom and yeah. My faith in Rasta helps me keep grounded, you know. Whenever I'm writing, I will always want my messages to be positive ones, you know, ones of upliftment and goodness, you know. I always want it to be a positive contribution to humanity, you know, even if it's fun, you know, or even if it's serious. Yeah, I always want it to be honest as well, you know. So Rasta for me is that groundation, you know, the consciousness behind the whole thing. Yeah.
She said my eyes betray my smile. Oh, mama really knows I'm shy. I feel so empty deep inside.
I just decided to be as honest as I could be on a record, you know. Of course, yes, I grew up in a society where a man, you know, a man just not express certain kind of thing, you know what I mean? We don't cry and we don't show that much emotion, and we weren't allowed to, you know. And I'm slowly growing tired of that because it's hurting men. It's hurting, and if it hurts men, then it hurts the family, it hurts the children, it hurts the community, it hurts the society on a whole, it hurts the world. If a man hurts, it hurts the world, you know what I mean? So I feel like there are a lot of people with things to say and things that are on their mind, that they haven't said, that they've kept secret for whatever reason. And you know, whether be it embarrassment or whatever, you know, I feel like I wanted to be the one to say, hey, you know, I go through this too, you know what I mean? And so you're not alone, you know, but this is my thing, yeah. My process when it comes to writing music varies, you know. It varies, it depends on on a lot of times, just, you know, where the music takes me overall, where my mind takes me, where my emotion takes me. Sometimes it may start with just a mumble of a melody. Sometimes it may start with a lyric that I was or something that I was inspired by, you know, or you know, just my thoughts overall, putting on my thoughts. And sometimes it's with the music too as well, you know. Sometimes I write to music, but yeah, it varies from time. One thing though is for certain is that for the most part, Herb is involved in that, you know. Whenever I steam or smoke, there's not whatever conversation I'm in, whether it be with my wife, or it could be the most serious conversation ever. It's like I can hear this haunting thing pulling me and calling me to music. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, come and put this down now. Come and put this down now. And I just leave everything. You know what I mean? And I go and mumble down the melodies, and I write whatever I'm writing, and I lay a foundation for, you know, whatever record I'm trying to build. trying to get my thoughts together. That's the thing. I think when I smoke a lot, my thoughts become so tornado like, you know what I mean? And I have to exit the room to make sense of it all, put it down, So the process varies, it depends. Most of my records start with me at home, laying the foundation, I am either playing some keyboards for an idea that I had, or laying some drums, programming some drums, or whatever it may be. But I always go to 99% of the time I go to the studio with a framework already, at least, and then Winta and I will build on it from there, and yeah, make it what it is that everybody hears at the end of the day.
The pain is not the enemy. Grow stronger from the hurt. These days ain't got a lot of love. They're always gonna judge. It will be okay. It's okay. Don't you be.
It's a blessing to be an inspiration to another generation. Like, it's that serious. Like, you are helping to shape and mold literally the next generation of human beings. It's not just your child, you know what I mean, or it's the world. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult because, like, in your helping to mold and create the next generation, you also have to be molding yourself as well, and depending on the kind of conditioning that you had, it affects how you parent, or it has the potential to affect how you parent, so it always comes down to choices at the end of the day for me. And I tried to create a safe environment for my kids. I didn't have much of that growing up, a safe environment to just feel free to express myself, or to be on top of myself, or to, I didn't have that space. And so one of the ways in which I parent differently from my parents is giving my children the space to just be, to be human beings, to figure stuff out, to remind them of how awesome they are as kids, to constantly remind them of how proud I am of them and all that they achieve, and to ensure that they know that they need not rely on anybody else or any other source but themselves and God within them. You know what I mean? My parents and I had a very weird relationship, but as I grew older, I think I started to extend them a lot of grace, because, as I grew up and I realized the challenges that I have and I face parenting and dealing with all my issues too as a person, it makes me think that, perhaps they were going through the same thing as well. Maybe their parents never did the greatest parenting, you know what I mean? And who the hell does at the end of the day, really and truly? Because, like, parenting it's not a handbook. You know what I mean? It's not a car drive down a straight road, or even on the highway where you can anticipate certain corners and whatever. You know what I mean? It's a whole adventure. You know what I mean? So I have to give grace to them in that manner. I am disappointed that they didn't make different choices, because you can have a reason, and a reason can be a reason. A reason doesn't have to be an excuse. You see me? But sometimes we take valid reasons and we turn them into excuses by the choices that we make. So you can grow up a particular way and you can say, well, yes, I didn't have my father to do this or that or that. But then, are you going to be the same father that didn't do X and Y and Z, or are you going to be what you wanted as a kid? And for me, I parent different in that manner, because I try my best to be what I wanted as a kid, you know what I mean, to my kids now. I don't always get it perfect, but, I love them and I know that they love me. So, yeah, we got that going. The way I sing, I think, has a lot to do with all my experiences. I think the way I sing as well has a lot to do with all my influences as well. The kind of music that I listen to. I listen to a lot of R&B. I listen to a lot of pop music, 80s disco vibes, all of them kind of thing. So I feel like it comes out just naturally, you know what I mean? But yeah, it just comes out naturally. Paris's protege is keyboard player. Some years ago, Paris and I were doing some work together. I was producing a lot for myself, and I ganged up with Paris to get some work done. And one day Paris invited me to rehearsal. And I'd expressed to him some time ago that I'd love to meet Protege, and he invited me to a rehearsal that he had. When I went there, it was Proto and Winta. And I had been admiring Winta's work from before, like when Rootsman dropped one thing, I was like, whoa, who is this person? And, it was one of those dreams of mine to work with him, at least even for one song, But we met that night, and then we started talking after that, and they mentioned to me that they had an idea that they wanted me to check out, which was Protection at the time, with Protege and I. And from there, the relationship developed, and we have been working together ever since. That's like 7 years now, and we've worked on every record together since that. We now put out our first full-length album together, which is super exciting. It's been a joy working with Winta. He's very masterful at what he does, very aware, very intentional. He is very versed, in his craft. The way he submerges himself, in music is one of those things that I admire the most about him too. He gets lost in it, and that's the key, to be lost in it, So yeah, it's been a joy working with Winta, man, and it's been a joy working with our engineer as well, called Supaman. Supaman is, yeah, he's the G. But the song I'm most looking forward to performing is a song called You and Me that I wrote, about my current relationship and my past relationship as well, Yeah, it's called You and Me. I found a love when she least expected. I gave her 3 and her 1 made 4. She closed her hearts on relationships, but I had the key to unlock that door. I gave her love, pure love. I listened, they didn't. I made her trust once more. I never made her doubt for a second. I don't give a damn who you loved before. I'm just crazy about you and me. Please don't let me play for the sins, Let me write my own story. Yeah, something like that goes, When we were in the UK, actually, in London, at the Jazz Cafe, that was super dope. I enjoyed that night like crazy, you know what I mean? It was all the shows were special, from London to Sweden to wherever, but I had an exceptional time at the Jazz Cafe. The energy there was so warm. The people came out in their numbers. That show was sold out, as a matter of fact. And I was like, wow, like, a venue is sold out for me? For summer? For my birthday? What? What's going on? Like, it's crazy to me, you know what I mean? Because, like, I never ever envisioned myself. That's a lie. I've envisioned it, but I've never made it my focus then, I should say, on having that kind of reception, because I'm always just making music for me, So when it translates in that kind of way where somebody's going to take their time and take their money and pay to come to a venue to come and watch you perform, it means the world to me, you know what I mean? And that kind of energy is awesome. So I definitely would say that's one of my more memorable performances, you know what I mean? Reggae Geel for sure, I love that as well. You know, Reggae Jam was also one too, but that one in particular at the Jazz Cafe was amazing in London. London, I love you. Enough love. Can't wait to be back. I have no expectations at all, you know, of for I have no expectations of how the album will be received or not received, or of anybody or of anything for that matter, you know. Um, I would like to set the album free to do whatever it must do. Um, I will say that I made the album as honest as possible, as true to myself as possible. Um, yeah, and it bears the gift of my love for music, you know. And so the takeaway is whatever you want to take away. It will always be something good anyway, you know. 'Cause I don't make bad music, so.
I've got the bruises to prove. How could you pretend you never used and abused? Yeah, I answer scorn and refuse to treat me.
Bruises is one of those songs that I was very intentional about, you know, in terms of messaging. I mean, I'm intentional about all my songs, but I have witnessed the brutality and the unfair treatment of human beings overall in my entire life. And you know, I've seen it with my own eyes, I've seen it on the news, I've heard it on the radio, you know, the injustice and the separation and the inequality, the racial discrimination is disgusting, by the way, you know. And I felt like all human beings go through challenges, you know, regardless of color. You know, we all bleed the same blood, but, you know, from a black man's perspective, I can't help but write about all the travesties a black person has undergone over the years, you know. And I'm not looking for an apology or anything like that, you know. It would be nice to see all human beings get along, you know. That's how the creator made it to be anyway, you know. But somewhere along the line, somebody felt like they were bigger than another person, and or they could own another person, and that owning thing is still a thing now too. You know what I mean? So what some people think that chattel slavery isn't a thing anymore, and I think differently. You know, it might not be as outrightly that anymore. You see people like literally owning somebody or whatever it is, but I feel like we're under control in some kind of way, and I feel like we should be aiming in this present day not to blame but to liberate ourselves in whatever ways that we can, you know, especially as a black man, you know, across the world. Black, to be black is to be beautiful, man. To be black is to be creation. To be black is to be God. To be black is to be wonderful, and it's to be human. You know, it's not anything to be ashamed of. I see some people trying to alter their skin and alter their lip and their eye and their nose and their all kinds of things, you know. And everybody is free to be whatever they want to be and do what they want to do, but I will encourage you to love yourself more than that. Appreciate yourself regardless of what society may say, regardless of, you know, whatever rules anybody wants to make up, you know. So Bruises speaks to that, you know, all the hurt and the pain that we've undergone, especially as a people. You know what I mean? I'm growing up, you hear about slavery and all kind of thing, but you never heard how many kings and queens, you know, were black people, you know. And I feel like that's important. That's an important messaging to give to the young ones coming up these days, so that they don't grow up thinking that all we were slaves. And we will never be just slaves. We will continue to be more than that, and we will rise above all of that. You know what I mean? So don't get lost in that whirlwind and washing machine of ideas, you know. But one thing we cannot do, even if we press forward, we can't ignore or forget, because it's still happening now in present day. You know what I mean? So Bruises was just one of those songs where I was just kind of fed up, at the idea of somebody treating another person unfairly because of their skin color. So crazy to me. And also the bruises that we inflict upon ourselves. That's another view too, our inner fights, our lack of appreciation for ourselves as well, that have caused many self-inflicted wounds upon our own self. So these are apart from the wounds that have been caused upon us by others. And outside of even, racial discrimination or anything like that, it also has to do with emotional connections as well, relationships in your everyday. You know what I mean? Whiplashing can be name calling. Whiplashing can also suggest abuse, in so many ways. So, and that is why I kind of write my music to be open to a colorful array of interpretation, you know what I mean, in terms of the lyrics. So it can mean so many things, you know what I mean, but it definitely does put focus on how much we've suffered as human beings. I hope that we can return to a place of love. That would be awesome, you know what I mean? One thing I want everybody to know about me is that I am far from perfect. I am a regular human being like anybody else. I know a lot of the times people tend to idolize somebody based on their artistry, you know what I mean? But I am a regular human being like anybody else, and my wish is to add love into this world, to inject a bit of love in this world before I pass. That's one of the things you should know about me, that's my mission, and that's my religion over all things, and I would like to encourage everybody as well to remember their humanity. Don't forget your humanity. It's easy to get lost within yourself and your day-to-day and all the challenges that we face. It's also easy to accept or to live based on another person's idea of life, which is all the ideas that society might put on us. But I want to say within before without, always within before without, and yeah, keep love in your heart. Okay, my name is Mortimer. My album, my first official, debut album comes out on the 20th of September, in this year that we're living in right now. The album is called From Within. It was written and produced from the most honest place I could. And, I want to say a special thanks to my team as well. Claire, Julia, Super, Winta, my wife especially. Thanks for holding it down for me over the years, for encouraging me, for supporting me, for my team, for believing in me. And I also want to thank all my fans as well, all the people who listen to my music, who support me and who believe in me as well. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to sharing my project with the world and with you. So stay tuned. Bless up. You see me? Yeah.
So,